I would assume a lot of you would agree with this statement. Washing our car is very fun, and I hope if you're on this channel, you actually enjoy cleaning up your vehicle. But one of the most annoying parts about actually cleaning our vehicle is setting up and tearing down our pressure washer every single time we wash our car. That's why you'll see a lot of us talk about quick connects, having something that is easy to set these pressure washers up, and even going to the extent of wall mounting a pressure washer setup. But what if you don't have the ability to wall mount your pressure washer? And what if you need to have a pressure washer that you can actually move around? Well, that's where this comes in. This is the brand new Active Wash Cart, and in today's video, we're going to be reviewing this thing, talking about all the features this has, talking about all the features it doesn't have, and really at the end of the day, see if this is actually worth your money. Welcome back to the channel. Let's jump into it. Well guys, thank you all so much for being here today. I'm really excited to dive into this because I talk about this all the time, of having a setup that actually works for you instead of against you. And this has been a thing I talk about a ton, is spending some money if you want to maintain your car at home, to wall mount your pressure washer and make things easy to get washing, because that can be the difference between you washing your car on the weekend and you not washing your car on the weekend. Making detailing more efficient is hugely important, and I'm very curious to check this thing out because reality is there hasn't really been a all-in-one solution like this, and I see a lot of you at home actually creating your own wash carts. So we're going to evaluate how the Active one actually is. Now, for full transparency, before we dive into the review here, Active did supply me with this completely free of charge to make a review with. Now, if you guys know me, you know this channel, I'm going to give you my opinions. I'm going to tell you whether this thing is absolute junk, whether it's absolutely amazing, or whether it's somewhere in the middle and actually needs some improvements. Spoiler alert, there's a lot here that I really wish they would have done with this cart. So without further ado, let's dive into the review. First things first, let's talk about price point on this. And for full transparency, when Active sent all over the documentation for the review embargo date and they shared the price, my initial knee-jerk reaction was, this is far too expensive. Who the hell is going to buy this? So this retails right at $419.99. And like I said, my initial reaction was not great to that. And then I kind of sat on it and let that price marinate in my head, and I started comparing it to what else is out there. Number one, it's insane. You can literally go buy an Active 2.0 entire kit for cheaper than a cart. But what's also interesting is their wall mount solution. And if you guys remember, a couple of months ago, we installed one. I reviewed it at my friend Nick's house, and he needed a pressure washer set up. He's German, he's OCD, likes to keep things clean, very similar to myself. And we installed that. And honestly, I thought the value proposition there was amazing. I thought it was worth every single dollar of $400. Now, the great thing about that is it was plug and play. You literally unbox the thing, bolt it to the wall, throw your pressure washer up there, throw your hose on there. You've got area of storage for your foam cannon, your pressure washer gun, your pressure washer tips, as well as even a wand. It was a perfect solution for most people that don't want to go crazy and spend the amount of time and money to do a full custom setup like I have here at the shop. And looking at this, for $20 extra, having more functionality seemed pretty awesome, because instead of having a semi-permanent or technically permanent solution of your pressure washer, you can take this thing around. And that's where Nick started talking to me a little bit more, and why I was so excited about this is he's like, hey, I love the wall mounted setup, but I also want to take my pressure washer and go wash my back deck or wash our sidewalk or whatever the case may be on his house. And I thought, okay, this thing's going to be pretty cool. Now, what actually comes in this kit is exactly what you see here. It's pretty bare bones. Does not come with a hose, but it comes with your hose reel. Comes with the jumper hose. I have some comments about that. And you get your casters on this. You have a handle. Now, there is some assembly required, and this would be an area of critique for Active. I'm fine throwing on casters, the rear wheels, except for the fact that the hose reel is kind of a pain in the butt to install. Now, they do give you this 15mm wrench, and it is tricky to do two-handed, let alone one-handed, so that could be just a me issue. But once you get this on here, it's a little fine. The annoying thing is, it's great that they give you a 15mm one for up here, but the casters down here utilize 17mm, which they don't supply you. And I don't know if you guys can see this area in here with your washer and between the actual caster, it doesn't really go in there easily. essentially. So I had to MacGyver this to get it all set up. It was not as easy as plug and play as their wall mount solution was. So a little critique there. But the one positive thing with this, and this kind of goes across the board for Active, is the quality here. You are paying for a premium material experience with the Active line of products. And I will absolutely say this thing feels flippin' awesome. Everything is metal, all powder coated, the same gray to match your pressure washers. And guys, I gotta tell you, when you get a pressure washer mounted with the hose up here, it looks super, super nice. The casters are great on this. The big wheels are awesome. If you're, taking it out in the yard or whatever, you can throw it back up on the wheels and push it. It's very, very easy to use. Now, their hose reel up here is the same one you can purchase separately or purchase with their wall-mounted solution that actually comes with it. Now, what's interesting here is they've actually changed some stuff with this. What I mean by that is actually the drag control on this. Now, that was one of my main areas of issue with their hose reel solution. It felt great when you were actually rolling up the hose. It was super smooth, buttery smooth, in fact. And then the problem was when you get either a steel braided hose or turn your pressure washer on, this thing was so loose that the hose would just start to untangle itself. It seems like they have fixed a little bit of that. I'm not sure it's 100% fixed though. I do wish this had like adjustable drag control. Now you do have this little pin over here. So once you either reel it up, reel it out, you can push that pin in and it's going to stop it from moving. So that's nice to see. But they also give you the jumper hose with this, which is good if you have an active solution here. So a 3.0, 2.3, 2.0. This mounts easily right on the front of the unit. It's pretty much perfectly length. This one is actually not ideal. This one does seem a little bit too long in my impression. So I'll talk about that when we actually get these mounted up. I really wish they would give you the option and do a quick disconnect on this so you could use other pressure washers with their stuff. And even on the wall mount solution, that's an issue because some pressure washers don't have it here on the front. You can see something like my AR is a little bit different, and something like a Ryobi is very different. Something like a MaxFlow, very different. So it does seem like they're trying to keep you in their ecosystem of products a little bit with that. Now, as you can see how this is designed, you've got your hose up top here and your pressure washer down low, which is very much vice versa as to pretty much how you ever see pressure washers actually mounted. And this brings up a very interesting point. I'll show you a little bit more. I think this is incorrect. And the funny thing is, Active, when they were initially prototyping a unit like this, they actually had it vice versa. And I personally think they should have probably stuck with that because there's some compromises I don't actually love here. Now, there is also a handle up top here, which feels super premium, super high quality. On the side, you have this little guide pin that basically holds it in. The issue with me on this product, instead of this, which is a one-handed solution, this is a two-handed solution. I'll show you into that. Now, my biggest issue with this product, guys, is this area back here. Now, it looks very nice. You can have this netting back here to hold everything in there. And I thought, okay, when I initially saw this, you're gonna be able to put your foam cannon in there, your gun, just toss your pressure washer tips in there. And then you realize, oh, okay, well, if I have a mobile solution, I've got this. And this essentially takes up the entire back part of your storage solution here. And that got me thinking back to their wall mounted situation of how perfectly designed that was to throw your foam cannon in, throw your gun on, throw all your pressure washer tips in, have a lance in there, and this is completely the opposite. So next, what we're gonna do, I'm gonna get this off the table here. I wanna get this fully kitted out, show you some of the things I really wish they would have done and the things that just seems like they did not even sort of think about. And at the end of this, give you an overall value proposition of whether you guys should really pick this up or not. Now, first thing I want to do for setup is actually mount our pressure washer. The great thing they've thought about here is the casters actually lock. Really do like that. So we're going to put up the 3.0 here. Now, you can also see you have these grooves in here to actually bolt your actual pressure washer directly onto this. You can also drill this out if you have a different size pressure washer. And this beast, this thing's a little heavy. It's very much easier to do when the hose is actually not on there. Now, as you can see, our jumper hose here on the side is going to come directly down here. But this has quite a bit of tension, and I have not found the perfect solution for this. Let me tell you why. So you can see how this is sitting now. This isn't fully on. this gets in the way of where my actual control is here to keep this from actually spinning. So what I have actually found you have to do with this is basically put it just like that. Definitely not ideal having that much bends in it, but it's not the end of the world either. Now this little guy will get stuck like that, but essentially once you get it on here, good to go. So be mindful of the placement of that. Now to actually mount our hose here, you can see we have a female 3/8 stainless steel quick disconnect, super high quality there. Now this hose reel can accommodate up to 100 feet of hose. Today we're just going to be installing a 50-foot hose. This is their active 50-foot, and I think this is one of the best hoses to actually use outside on asphalt, on concrete. Importantly, not my favorite hose. I actually use a Cobra Jet here at the shop from MTM Velocity. Now, once you actually get that in there, pretty straightforward, we're going to unlock that and I'm going to spin this. Now, hopefully you guys can see these two little holes here. What that essentially is going to do, once I get that mounted down there, is this little guy is going to come in and basically hold it directly there with two wing nuts. So that's going to make sure it's nice and lined up here so you can get this perfectly tightened down. Once we have our wing nuts installed, now it's time to actually reel this hose up. Now, of course, we don't want to be sloppy. We want to get this nice and tight and look nice and clean. So what I got to say is, this does really reel up nice. Now this hose is a little tricky to do here and it's a little awkward at the angle I'm actually standing at, but I want to emphasize still the problem with their hose reels. Even though this is a little bit firmer, watch what happens when I let go. Now it starts unraveling itself and just continues unraveling. So that's part of the annoyance with this hose reel. It still needs drag control on it. Now, after you're at this point where we're getting it looking nice and tidy, that's when we can actually come over here and tighten that down. Now, I want to emphasize a point here of a slight problem. If you leave it at this, where do you think the water coming out of here is going to go? Well, it's going to go right onto the power control unit of your $800 Active 3.0 here. Now, you can also take this and pull it farther back, but then naturally sometimes the hose wants to do that. So what you have to do with this is either put a plug on this hose so it doesn't leak on that, or leave your gun on it. So this to me needs more dowel holes in here to be able to tighten this up in more specific use cases. So that's some of the annoyances I've been dealing with. All right, so we've got the pressure washer mounted, we've got the hose mounted. I think that is the best part about this. It looks fantastic, it looks premium. It looks like it's worth the price point they're asking for. But this is where things really take a turn for the worse for me. And this is where I think Active just almost went completely lazy on this. So, number one, this entire area here, you can see is a complete void. A hose is not going to go underneath this. This entire area could be used for storage, but instead they give you this small area here. You can see this large flick to actually go over the axle here. Now you actually have this netting that comes down and basically just attaches to the axle here. I will tell you that does not feel very premium to me. Now the whole concept here is you can put all your stuff here. So I have something like a foam cannon. This is their Active foam cannon, and it doesn't even sit flat. And the reason being is this flick here. So this is, number one, super awkward. Are you just going to leave it like that? Okay, I guess I have room for my gun to go in there. This is the pressure washer tip kit that comes with the 3.0 and 2.3. So I guess you could toss that in there. I guess you could also take this and like mount it around this if you really wanted to. On the 2.0, actually, you have your pressure washer tips at the back of the unit, which would be great to see come to the 3.0 and 2.3 if they want you to use it like this. And then I've got, you know, their Active wand. So I guess I can shove it in there. That to me looks like crap. Let's be totally honest. And then the biggest deal, what do I do with this? This is their 35-foot cable that comes with it. And I'm assuming if you're going to have this cart on a mobile rig, you need to take that cart somewhere and still have a long cable on it. So am I supposed to just like put that there? Because that to me just ruined the entire aesthetics. This just looks messy. It looks terrible to me. So what I think they should have done is essentially you take all this stuff out of here, you undo this, and you shove this monstrosity in here so it's easy access to be used. Now, what I don't like about this is this cable's just sitting out like that. Why would you not make a hole right here for me to be able to feed that cable through so that I could leave this back here? Now, this is at the point where I can't really fit all my stuff. And the other crazy thing to me is this is going to be something you could have done a maybe little hose reel on or something like that. But there is this entire void all right here that could have been a plate where my foam cannon could go in, just like their wall mount solution. Each one of my pressure washer tips here could have popped in right here. I could have even had a holster for my gun, something like that. I could have had an area for something like my active wand to go. But instead, they give you this, and now I have no place to put any of this other stuff. This to me is where this unit, the overall usability and functionality is failed. I have nowhere to put this. So now I've got to store this stuff everywhere else. I want to have a solution to where I can grab things easily. Straight off the back here would have been perfect. Or put my nozzles somewhere like this. Give me an area to put this here. On this side, put my gun here. Do something. This is abysmal. I'm really annoyed by this because this could have been such a good product. So I'm sitting down now because this for me is a very pivotal point for this product of putting it into context of, comparing it to their other wall mount solution and comparing it to what else is out there. Now, this is the Ava Easy P50, and this is the actual unit that I have at home to take care of our house. Now, importantly, I don't really wash at home. I have a fully climate controlled indoor studio here when I can come wash my cars whenever the heck I want. But this is an absolute solution you can have to wash your car at home. And the crazy thing I started thinking about this, okay, this is $20 more than their wall mount solution. Doesn't seem like a big deal until you look at the lack of storage and lack of design thoughtfulness for what we're actually looking for. And I thought about this. What do you guys think the price point is on this product? Think about it. Yeah, $355. That to me is insane. Now, what you need to know about that, functionally inside of here, the actual pressure washer pump is about the same thing as an Active 2.0. Although, be it, yes, it is a little bit louder. Yes, it does have slightly less performance, but at the end of the day, you can accomplish the same exact thing washing your car and washing your house with this unit. It's phenomenal for doing that. And then you start looking at the design. Number one, look at the footprint of it. And I think this is challenging for Active, being that they have to be able to put a 3.0 here. They have to be able to put on a 2.0. And functionally, the cage that surrounds it has to be the same size. But the crazy thing to me is you look at the size of this and you look at the lack of functionality. Guys, over here, I have a fully integrated hose reel. On the back of this, when I spin this around, I have an area to put my power cable. I have a handle that is, number one, usable. It is high enough to reach that I'm not having to crouch down to actually grab this thing. I have an area to put a foam cannon. Importantly, any foam cannon you actually want. My pressure washer tips can go up here. I can have an entire expandable lance that fits right inside of there. Heck, I can even take this off, I can pop this down here, and I can put this guy on top. And this is $355, and this is $420. Now, again, understand the context here that this is made of way higher quality materials. It looks a hell of a lot nicer. I will give them that, but if they gave us areas to actually put things, this would have been a good product. And functionally, at the end of the day, this product for me is a fail. It is absolutely a fail because of the lack of thoughtfulness of what us detailers, DIY weekend warrior enthusiasts actually want in a pressure washer cart. I just look back to the fact that where the hose literally drips on the micro switches for the pressure washer. Again, I want to emphasize these should be water resistant, but why would you do that? That just does not make any sense to me. And there is a reason we put a pressure washer above a hose reel. So guys, at the end of the day, you can throw a bunch of different pressure washers on here. I will refer you over to my friend Cars with Keeve, which is going to go through and show you guys which pressure washer units actually go on this unit. But for me, this wash cart is not worth $420 with the lack of functionality. That is my personal opinion. You can disagree with me. Again, I still think you're getting a super high quality product here. I just can't recommend it for the lack of functionality, storage space, and overall thoughtfulness of the product. So we're going to end this one off here. We'll see you in the next one soon. Bye-bye.